Point where she laid an egg.
In today's video, we're doing something very familiar that we've done, well, quite recent with another video. We just got in ourselves another breeding pair of Anolis leachii because the prior project kind of went on hold with certain incidents we're going to talk about later in this video. Wait a minute. But didn't you just do the same thing with, say, like Anolis varius, that really cool self-in anole? Well, yeah, I mean, in fact, it's pretty similar. I mean, it's basically the same kind of video, minus a couple other elements and, you know, some other stuff. But anyways, it probably is a less cooler thumbnail because I think I peaked on that varius thumbnail. Well, isn't that kind of lazy? Well, you know, maybe you could kind of be quiet and let me explain going forward. Anyways, if this video is being filmed though, there's obviously some sort of positive news. Did I get my mail back? No, I did not. He's still living a cushy old life. You know, he's a cool animal. I'm gonna miss him. But I did get a new pair, right? So let's go talk about that. You hear that now? Kind of crazy that FedEx, again, they just don't know how to stop driving so fast. Anyways, unboxing.
You know, leachii unboxing bit. You definitely got more than what you see. This is the male, you know, like the first time we unboxed him. Very fired down. But really pretty animals. He's definitely want to get out of here. Let's, you know, set him to the side. But something that, you know, I thought was really, really interesting is this female. Now, when I had my leachii, mind you, they were a really old pair and they were relatively prolific for me. Now, this pair, they're still really young, which means prolific is a different word for this species right now. Like, it's really prolific at this current moment, to the point where she laid an egg. Like, it's kind of pointless because you know, point at me, because, you know, you're unfamiliar with reptile eggs, typically like in the first hour or so, if, you know, however they were laid, that's the orientation they need to be, and that's where the yolk will form, and basically if it moves after that, the embryo dies. So it doesn't matter how long it was laid ago. In this process, it's a cooked egg. It ain't ever gonna hatch, but I just think it's really cool. Kind of an interesting thing. I think I've only ever seen this happen one time on some kid's YouTube channel, and it's kind of funny if you ask me. Yeah, super prolific species, quite literally, you know, yeah.
Now, the unboxing was definitely a little strange, just because how it was filmed. Mostly because when these animals came here, technically, you know, spoiler, they were not shipped to my house. They were shipped to a FedEx hub while I was watching my mother's house and all that fun stuff. So they were picked up, dropped off at my mother's house, came here, unboxed them real quick, took a look out, put them back in the box, drove them to my house, which is where we are now, put them in this enclosure, and, you know, shortly after we're here filming this video. But let's go over some quick things in that video, the most important part. The female laid an egg, which is exciting because I love breeding animals. It's so niche and funny. I don't know. I've only ever like heard of people getting their eggs laid during shipment, and it sucks at the grand scheme because 9 times out of 10, since how reptile eggs work, they're never gonna hatch. But if it does hatch in like the less than 1% then it does, I can say that I have a egg that was laid in California that hatched in Texas. Now, that's extremely unlikely to happen because to anyone who doesn't understand how reptile eggs work, they lay their egg, and typically in the first 30 minutes to the hour, the embryo attaches to whatever side it's on. Now, say that embryo's up here and the egg does this, rotates, what's gonna happen is that embryo's gonna drown itself and it's, well, gonna die. Bird eggs are a lot more flexible because I believe their embryo can move, so they work out a lot better in the grand scheme. Really interesting thing. But it was pretty funny because I was actually just making my reptile list, you know, all the animals I want to work with, and I was actually writing it down for once because I have a horrible way of just doing things, which is all right up here, and writing really poor notes, which are untangible and horrible to read for anyone who isn't me 9 times out of 10. So I was scrolling on Morph Market after writing down Anoles leachii. I mean, like, man, I really miss that species. Such a shame. Ah, God. I get on Morph Market. The same man who made my logo, Mr. Danny Hurd, proceeds to be selling a pair. So, you know what I do? I buy it. I specifically bought it by selling my emerald tree skinks to someone, and it worked out pretty well. You know, they sold like the day after I found out, shipped them out, waited for everything to clear, you know, all the fun stuff. And then I'm like, hey man, cha-ching. And then he said, oh, cool. Cha-ching, my way. And it worked out beautifully. I'm excited. It's a very fun process for what that's going on right now. Now, I'm sure you want to actually learn something about this anole besides the unboxing and just my very schizo-esque moments. But, you know, this anole was discovered all the way back in 1837. I'm not going to tell you the name because I can't pronounce old French people names, but it's on the screen if I feel like editing it in. But they can be found natively in Antigua and Bermuda. Correct? Yeah, correct. And going to these islands, they are going to pretty much be one of the only few reptiles on the island and one of the very few anoles. Now, that gives them a very special, set of skills. Because if you may not know, this anole is technically the largest lesser annatid anole out there, which basically means they're not like, on mainland islands or like Cuba. It's a weird term. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's like the conjoined Caribbean islands. I'll make a whole video on it later to explain it. It's a concept that I'm really like bad at explaining off the top of my head, but yeah. But basically, they're the largest. So this gives them a pretty unique niche on these islands, which lets them basically be the rulers, aka kind of like a mini crown giant. So they're going to come from the top of the tree, come down to eat, say, members of their own species, mostly their young, because they won't attack females at all, which is adorable. But they will eat their young. Some people say they won't, some people say they do. My experience, I've had them eat their young, and I've had just as many people tell me they eat their young, and just as many tell me they don't. My personal rule of thumb is just play it safe. If you see a baby, grab a baby, move a baby into a new environment. Because, it's cool and all, it's a rare species. They're not common in the USA so much. So if you do have a pair, you do have some breeding, it's always best to try to at least get the babies to come out of there and get them to grow up so they can go to a new breeder, a new home, etc., so more people can enjoy this really fascinating anole. Gotcha? But anyways, if you learned something in this video, leave a like, sub, share, and do this right here. That's a video. It's a playlist of the leachii prior, but this is a new year, new season. It's like the King of Hill revival. I haven't seen it, but I'm gonna watch it. Yeah, end of the video.